Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Dragonstone Farm channel. This is the first of our 2021 videos, and we're going to give you a little bit of an overview of where the plot is up to and how it's faring over the winter, plus some of our plans for the new growing season. First job was to give the small greenhouse a bit of a tidy. Lots of pots had just been chucked in there over the winter, and we needed to clear a space ready for sowing our first lot of seeds. The rest of the plot, although a little bit messy, isn't looking too bad. We've done basically nothing to the beds since the end of the growing season. We've only really been going to the plot to take care of the chickens, and we've trimmed everything back and had a quick tidy round at the end of the season. So now to get started with some seeds. We're sowing 3 different kinds today in the greenhouse. We've got Performer spring onions and 2 kinds of salad leaves, Speedy mix and red and green salad bowl mixed. These were all varieties that worked really well for us last year. The salad leaves are particularly good for the guinea pigs and the chickens. So we're just using cell inserts inside seed trays. We're filling them up with a good general use compost. This is the one that we've always used and get great results for seeds and for bigger plants. First up is the Speedy mix. These are usually ready for harvesting within about 12 weeks of germination. We're sowing these very early, so I'd expect it to take a little bit longer than that, depending on the weather. Vicky's just putting 2 or 3 seeds per cell. They're really quite small seeds, so it's difficult to sow them individually, though not impossible if you've got the patience. Once the seeds are scattered, she's gently covering them over with a few millimetres of compost. Don't forget the plant label. Next up is spring onions. Again, a couple of seeds per cell. These are slightly larger, which would make it easier to sow them individually, although some people do choose to sow them in clumps, which works perfectly well too. This way then they're grown in bunches. Red and green mixed salad bowl leaves are next. Again, the seeds are really quite small. Now to water them in. Seeds prefer tap water to rainwater really, but we're just using what we've collected nearby. They'll still grow. Be careful not to overwater. You don't want to wash the seeds away. Every cell does need to get a bit of water though. And now it's time to cover them with the propagator lids. This will keep the moisture in until the seeds germinate, but also provides a little extra warmth since these seeds are in an unheated greenhouse. These labels were a little bit tall for the lids, so we had to tilt them on an angle. So at the end of October last year we planted out our garlic, which was literally just some we got from the supermarket. It seems to be doing okay, although the birds have had a good go at pulling some of it up. This bed could do with a bit of weeding as well. We moved our rhubarb at the end of last season and split the crowns. We had absolutely loads of it, so we donated some to the site shop to be distributed to other plot holders. The ones we kept seem to have settled well into what was our brassica bed. The chickens have done really well over the winter and haven't really slowed down laying at all. We're averaging around 8 eggs a day from 11 birds. The run is a bit muddy here, but we've since had a truckload of bark delivered, and we'll show you what we did with that at the end of the video. Time to fill the feeders up. Hi Eggsmere. Eggsmere is our green egg layer. We feed our girls layers pellets, which they have access to 24/7. We go through roughly 10 kilos of pellets a week, which is stored in a plastic container to help keep it safe from rodent thieves. These are today's eggs, a little bit dirty because the run is so muddy. Last week we had our annual task of sorting the seeds out. What we do is we go through them all, decide which ones we want to grow, and then sort them into wallets depending on their sowing date. So later on at home our new heat mat had been delivered, so it was time to have a go and see if that made any difference to germination times. We've also bought a couple of varieties of chilies that wouldn't germinate at all if they didn't have that extra heat from the mat. We sowed the seeds in a very similar way to the ones in the greenhouse, although we wet the compost a little bit first here because it was very dry after being sat in the house for a couple of days. With these seeds we're only sowing a few seeds of each variety because we may have accidentally ordered too many different varieties. For the chilies, Vicky's using tweezers to sow the seeds because some of these are extremely hot. 1 seed per cell, and once again don't forget the plant labels. This was the hottest one that we bought to try. Reportedly, until very recently, this was the hottest chili in the world at over 2 million Scovilles. A little bit more water to water them in, but in the future the water needs to be room temperature. Here is George. George must have stored away in the propagators when we brought them back from the greenhouse on the plot. The cells in this tray are slightly larger, so we're sowing 2 seeds per cell. Once they're big enough to handle, they'll be potted on anyway, and then we can split them up. Same as before, once all the seeds are in, they need a little bit of water and a lid to keep the moisture and heat in. Now this is the mat that we got. I'll put a link in the description below in case you're interested in looking it up or in fact buying yourself one. A few hours later, this is what they look like. Look at all the condensation. A few days later, the tomatoes have started to germinate already, and a few days after that the aubergines and peppers started coming through too. As you can see, the chicken run was really muddy today, especially so because we've had so much rain. So what we did was we ordered this great big pile of bark. We had some help to get that barrowed down to the plot, and then spread that around inside the chicken run on top of a layer of sand. This was the end result, which we're more than happy with. The girls are happy with. The floor stays nice and dry, and the eggs and their feet stay nice and clean.